Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Rob.
You lost one of your members of your linebacker room. How does that, or does it affect the way you look at a young guy like Cornelius Tatum? Does he have to step up and maybe fill in for what you're going to be missing there?
Wow, your ears were ringing. I apologize if there was a little bit of a delay. I'm going to blame Mike. Mike had technical difficulties, but I was just volunteering some time with Cornelius Tatum to get him up on the screen. He is a kinesthetic learner. I'm learning the learner, so had an opportunity for him to go through some plays to learn from Ace Ely, who's got some experience. We put the back copy, which means we're looking up at the screen. He's standing up at it, and he is observing the offensive line and the defensive line in front of him. He's going through front, stunt, and then what his assignment and pass responsibility is. And he just built a lot of confidence. So, yeah, I'm certainly spending some extra time with him. You mentioned Cornelius in particular, but that's a young man that talent is not an issue. He is ahead of the curve in terms of talent and where he's at to physically finish plays and be a great tackler. He's a 17-year-old kid that should be in his spring semester of high school, and he's here in a spring ball going into practice 14 and 15. So his growth and development is on pace with that, but I'm looking to accelerate it. That's why someone like him coming in January is such an advantage to him. He's now within reason, learned the system, been exposed to it, knows the culture, knows how to be a college kid. So when we get going in the off season and fall camp, he's at such an advantage to potentially be to have a role as we go through his true freshman season. But going back, I know Coach released it. Normally we don't say anything, but Tyson's was released, so I was given permission to confirm that. So tough break for him. Tyson was within working with the first two groups and was going to have a big role in terms of a linebacker and special teams, talented young man. So hurting for him in this moment. He put in a lot of work to get to this point, was having a strong spring season. So definitely hurting for him. But I know he's going to attack his recovery like he does everything. And we look forward to having him back when he gets back. But to your point, to your question, you asked specifically about Cornelius, but we've got a very talented room. We have more depth than we've ever had, and then bringing in Ace, an older guy, adding to the depth, and Cornelius Tatum, a young guy, in the signing class. We need someone to step up. We've got guys in Jaquez Jackson and Charlie Thomas who've had a lot of downs played in this defense. We've got Ace Ely as a transfer who has played a bunch of Big Ten football and has experience. And then we have a young group beyond that, so looking for those guys to step up.
Next question comes from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Andrew, your defensive ends seem to be very productive, and the little we've gotten to see, and the group just overall looks better. And obviously, you still have another big piece coming in. How much does it kind of change what you do defensively to have that production now and have the body types you want there? I know that you're kind of bodging things together, the first 2 years. Yeah.
And we talked about a little bit with our first time, Kelly, when you asked, within reason, it allows us to be ourselves. A lot of times we needed to overcompensate for just whatever positions were, be it last season where we were down a certain position or certain guys or contact tracing this or that or get to the game. So you're having to overcompensate. Just in general, Kelly, I think there's just a lot less overcompensation. So we're not just going to do the same thing. We're not just going to be, just be stubborn about our defense, about our scheme, and about our structure. We've had a ton of time to be able to explore in spring ball. I'm really pleased with the amount of volume that we've had an opportunity to install and to experiment with things that we're going to use moving forward. So it allows us to be ourselves more so than anything, to your point, now that we have body types and critical roles. What are critical roles? Those end spots. Just think about NFL rosters. Where do people place money? They place money in quarterbacks. They place money in edge defenders and in corners and DBs. I mean, the value of those positions, now feeling very confident in Marco Coleman's room in terms of talent and in terms of depth, gives us so much more confidence in any scheme relative to it. In a previous scrimmage, we had a package where we just threw 3 defensive ends on the field at the same time. That was a chaos package by name, but we were able to get in and out of an odd structure. We were able to get into a 3 defensive end structure because we felt like that may be something where it highlights our talent. What's the goal for us is to get the best 11 players on the field at any time and then be able to add depth. So, Kelly, again, to answer your question, not to be redundant, but it allows us to be ourselves at spots that in any defense where you want defensive ends to be a strength in terms of pass rush, in terms of setting edges, in terms of defending the run. And then it allows us to explore different packages. Those type of body types, what is the best thing that they can do? They're active, they can attack the quarterback, they can create negative plays. In today's college football, you can get offenses off schedule and create negative plays. You've got a chance to have a huge advantage, get them in third and unopportunistic, and then, of course, attack the football.
Next question from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Andrew. I was curious for your appraisal of guys that didn't play a lot last year or the year before and kind of progress. And I think of guys like maybe like Akil who played some, but not a ton, and just maybe some guys that have bubbled up over the last 14 practices.
All right. You know I'm not a jerk, Ken. Is there any way you can give me some specific names?
Sure, I kind of
all it does is it
Akil
sets
is
me
one,
up a
certainly.
failure of guys that I don't talk about. So
Yeah.
if you got any specific names, I would be glad to talk about.
Sure. Well, Akil is one. And I guess, Ken is a guy that didn't play a ton, but, maybe I guess start with those 2.
Okay. You said Kilo and who was that? What did you say?
Keenan Johnson.
Oh, Keenan Johnson. Okay. Yeah, those guys played for us. Matter of fact, I remember a big moment in the game that we won. Kilo had a sack. So Kilo was a true freshman. Again, I'll always go back. It was unfair to this previous recruiting class. They got here in a COVID world. They got here later in summer than we normally do. And then we went through fall camp. Fall camp was bastardized relative to the amount of reps they normally get. But he ended up playing real downs for us by necessity. We had depth issues. We had whatever the reasons were, TK going down. We had contact tracing again to reference that. But we got low multiple times during the season at defensive tackle, and he was able to come in as a true freshman, which is very difficult to do at that position, play real meaningful downs for us. Where has he developed the most? His body. He's taking care of his body. When he first got here, he's a high school kid. And then we want him to be a certain weight. We wanted to put some weight on so he could hold up, so he could anchor himself in a college football interior defensive line. And then not all of that weight was healthy. I think he's taken great pride in having a healthier weight, having muscle mass, having lower body fat so that he can go out there and have functional strength. So he just looks better. He still has the same twitchiness, still has the same this is a weird dominant trait for a defensive tackle to have, but he's got great flexibility, ankle flexibility and hip flexibility, which is very important for him to transition to pass rush and for him to transition from holding a gap to actually making plays. So he's taking care of his body while having the same flexibility, put on strength. And now he's got, as all of them, he's got another year in the system where he's just playing a better assignment football. So you asked about him, so I'll be a laborer, a kilo stone as well. In that class and relative to young guys in our program, he has a voice. He's got a voice in the locker room, and we certainly value that in this program as we put so much emphasis on culture. He can be a strong culture guy for us as well. He's very aligned and carries the message of what we want our guys to act like and function like and practice like and prepare like. So that's going to get him playing time as well, what type of dude he's been. You asked about Keenan Johnson. I know I can't talk about injuries. That being said, we've managed Kennan's player load and it's helped him. So he, for example, he may have had a practice or two where he had a lower workload and individual in a special teams period. So we can get him to live reps to practice in the team settings so he can play corner full speed. That's really helped him managing that player load. So now he's playing healthy. He's playing with a bunch of confidence. He is as talented as anyone we have at corner. Where does he need to develop? He needs to develop strength in his press technique. He needs to be stronger at the finishing point, at the moment of truth. But as far as coverage ability, movement patterns, being able to match breaks, being able to play a press technique, off technique, just having a sense of urgency, he is absolutely someone I see in the rotation fighting for a spot on Saturdays. Anybody else in particular? Kevin?
That's good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next question comes from Cody Chaffins from Fox 5.
Hey, Coach, you guys have scrimmaged in the stadium a few times now. You had 14 practices against that offense. Will tomorrow feel different when the lights are on and you get some reactions? And what do you hope to get out from your players from the spring game?
Yes, it will feel different. They'll be out there on their Madden call sheet. They'll be out there running reverse double passes. Calvin Johnson will be out there throwing a double pass down. So it will feel different. I'm being a little bit coy, but the spring game, we're going to have fun. Obviously, the offense is within reason is going to be set up for some success to be able to put on a show a little bit. But for us, it's going out there and being ourselves. We've had a lot of volume that I referenced earlier on defense. Going into a spring game, we're not going to do that. We're not going to have a lot of volume. We'll go back to base defense, what that looks like. So what you're doing is you're looking for, since we have a small menu of what we're going to call, you're looking for execution tomorrow. You're looking for guys getting aligned, as simple as that seems, knowing where to place their eyes, and then executing at a high level. We'll certainly be responsive to what all the offense is able to do, but we will not be overcomplicated. So you're getting back to the base culture of what you are as a defense that runs through the football relentlessly, a defense that plays with their hands, a defense that plays violent, and then a defense that attacks the football. So that's what we're looking for, is base technique and fundamentals. I apologize I gave you a boring answer, but seriously, we're not trying to trick any of our kids. We are setting our kids up for success to see how they perform in that setting. I will not be out scheming Dave Patino tomorrow night.
Another question from Kelly Quinlan.
Hey, Andrew, it's someone that's caught my eye in a little bit that we've seen is Derek Allen. And obviously you guys, we talked to Nate about this the other day, that you guys tried him out at corner a little bit and maybe a sub package or something, and playing a lot of safety. Just kind of what have you seen from him and the versatility he brings?
Cool. Elite talent. And then right there's this kind of antiquated mentality of, do what I say. I'm a coach. We're going to throw you over at corner. There wasn't that. There wasn't, you're failing at safety, we're going to put you over at corner. There wasn't a, hey, we don't have enough depth at corner, we've got to put you over there to overcompensate for somebody else. It was really a discourse with DA, like, you're really talented. You've got such a unique skill set. He has top end movement traits. He has NFL combine movement traits. Now it's, how do we fit his skill set best within our scheme and our structure? We've got a really talented, mature safety room. Tariq and Wanye are, we feel, are two of our more established players, two of our more talented players that we feel like are two of our best 11 at any given time. So now it's now that we've got a very deep and talented DB room in general that has created a strong bond together this spring. Now it's somebody that's as talented as anyone in that room, like DA. Where does he best fit? How do we create packages to where we truly get our best players on the field? And he's in that discussion because he's so talented. Now it's just him finding confidence in a position. So there was a conversation, there was discourse. He's very open-minded about playing multiple spots to give himself more of a role on Saturday. And corner is one of those where he is so talented, he can play all 5 positions in the secondary. He's one of the few players you can say that about. A lot of people have skill sets relative to a position, which is fine, but he is one of the unique freaking unicorns where he can go play press corner. He can run with 8 and 9 balls on outside receivers, and then he can be physical and stout enough to be able to roll down as a safety and play inside and run fit. So his unique skill set allowed us to do that. We certainly explored. He's been very open-minded about it. Like anything, anytime you have a new position, there's new techniques, there's new fundamentals. Even though he knows the system, it's just different. So he needs time. So we've given him time last week. We're going to continue to allow him some time through the spring game, and then we'll have a plan for him going into the offseason relative to how he performs. When he finds confidence in that position that's best for him, we're a better defense because he is as talented. He's top end talent for our team in the ACC.
Have time for a couple more for Coach Thacker. We'll take first one from Rod McKenzie, and then we'll wrap up with one from Ken Segura. So Rod, go ahead.
Andrew, at the nickel, we all know about Wesley Walker what are you seeing from the depth at that position? You know, who are you running out there to build depth at that position?
Yeah. There's no reason for me to be coy about it. You guys will see out there on the field tomorrow. Wesley has played as a high level, played at a very high level. I'm very pleased with him. Wesley is another one of those where Coach Burton has a free safety nickel room, a dime room. So although Coach Burton has the title of safeties coach, he has the room has a bunch of multiplicity. Wesley is another one of those. Haven't tried Wesley out at corner like I was just referring to DA, but Wesley is in that framework of being able to play in a 3-spoke, free safety, strong safety nickel position. He can play at a high level at all three. Very pleased with him. And then Wesley has taken a very mature approach as he's gained clout in the locker room and as he's gained confidence from his coaches in his approach. So very talented, can cover in the slot, can pressure off the edge, has spatial awareness for zone coverages. So when I think of volume as a defensive coordinator, that nickel allows you a lot of flexibility. He fits a lot of different frameworks of what a 4-3, a 4-2-5, dime package. He allows you to really create volume by that position. Behind him, Trey Swilling, who is an elite ACC corner, has played slot corner. So I'm using words, but a nickel is a slot corner, right? In the NFL, they call it a slot corner. For us, it can be a Sam linebacker. It could be a nickel. It could be a slot corner right there. So just to play on words, he's playing slot corner right now, which is something that he wanted to do as well. It's something that he was in our ears, in our offices, trying to add more value for him, his value now and his future value. Him having multiplicity of being able to play outside corner and inside corner in the slot gives him value as he prepares for what he's going to do at the next level. And it gives us more multiplicity to move West back to safety, to move Trey in the slot, and relative to who we're going to play. What teams are we going to play to where there's elite slots, or the Clemsons and the North Carolinas of the world are going to have elite slots where we need a slot corner as opposed to an overhang 4-3 Sam outside linebacker. So Trey's been out there. And then we've had a young freshman, Caleb Edwards, have an opportunity to play out in the slot as well. Very, very excited, kind of like a Trinilius Tatum. Coming in January, a high school senior, coming out there and showing a great amount of just awareness and maturity and being able to have some real quality reps. Outside of that, we've explored a lot. Coach Burton has a room of strong safeties, free safeties, and nickels. So a lot of those safeties had a chance to explore out at nickel to give us some versatility. But who you see, you'll see Wes, you'll see Trey, you'll see Caleb Edwards the most in the spring game. And then we'll post-evaluate in spring and see what best fits per game plan.
Final question for Coach Thacker from Ken Segura.
Andrew, you alluded to it, but I was curious kind of what the framework of the spring game will be. I think Coach Collins was saying yesterday that it'll be offense, defense, and you mentioned, I guess you're kind of limited to playing a base defense, but what are some of the things over kind of the structure of the game, and is there anything on the line? I'm curious between offense, defense.
Mike, how do I answer that question? I'm not the head coach. I don't want to get in trouble, Ken. I'm not sure what's a surprise or what's not.
Actually, talking this morning about format, we'll get you some format stuff later today.
All right.
Sorry, Ken.
No, I understand. I'd like to ask something else then.
Go for it.
Yeah. I'm curious one of the, when we were watching practice, one of the interesting things I was trying to keep an eye on was, how Devin was doing a tackle, particularly against guys like Antonius and Jordan and Kevin. I'm curious kind of how you saw that particular, tackles versus ends matchups as spring progressed.
So you mentioned Devin Cochran. I am so happy he is here. I mean, obviously he's whatever his body type is. He's a 6'7" offensive tackle that has a ton of experience, high caliber SEC player that just makes Brent Key in his room more talented. I love his mentality. So the linebackers and Devin Cochran off the field, oh man, they have a ton of respect on the field. He is a prick in the best way possible. So he has a way of agitating the defensive line and agitating the linebacker room because of how hard he practices. We have certain tempos. We have full speed. We have thud speed. We have tag speed. Devin Cochran most often edges on the side of whatever's most violent, whatever's most agitating to the D line and linebacker, which is absolutely a mentality they need as an offensive line and a mentality we need as a team. So I love what he's brought in terms of his mentality. And his agitation doesn't distract us. It actually ramps things up for the defense. So he's created a ton of competition out there and urgency to practice in the way that he's handled. So a great compliment to Devin Cochran. He has freakishly long arms and a freakishly long frame and height and all that. So what he has made the edge dudes do is work their speed to power. He is difficult to get around, right? Shorter tackles physically and shorter limbed tackles in their arms. It is better to speed rush those dudes and work edges. He is so difficult to get around that it's made us be a better speed to power team, which means they're going to work around the edge and then they're going to work through to bull him. And that's something that I know that he said that he's working on to help him as he gains more strength, gains more weight, and is able to anchor in those positions. So it's allowed us to work different techniques, and it's allowed just a competitive environment. And he's done a great job of creating that. He's only helped the defensive ends. One of my favorite things to watch, I'm generally over at linebacker one-on-ones, or I'm at DB one-on-ones, or I'm at a different deal. But when they do offensive, defensive line, one-on-one pass rush, we watch it post-practice as a staff. It's fun to see our top dudes are all trying to go against Devin Cochran, go against Jordan Williams out on the perimeter, who I think are as talented, have a combination of at offensive tackle for us to practice against. And it's just great to see those guys go one-on-one and see the different wins. They've had a bunch of wins as an offensive line, and we've gotten better as a pass rush working against what, in my opinion, are elite offensive tackles.